Hi, welcome to another video on the recipe list application. So in the last video we created an admin page where we were able to see all of the recipes in our database. We created a delete button. We've still got some more work to do. We'd like to add an edit button. I'd like to limit the number of people that can actually be the admins and then make this thing look a little bit prettier. Let's start with the issue of who can be the administrator. Right now, every user on the application works as an administrator. Anyone can go into the admin page, delete and edit anything. So let's limit that first. To be able to change the role of a person, we should probably edit the database. So I'm going back into the MySQL Workbench tool. Earlier I saved the model, which was the design of our database. And so if you have the model, you can open it and look at it. However, if you forgot to save the model, there's another way to get to this diagram where you can see the links. So let's close this and back up for a second. If you didn't save the model, you can go to the database menu and choose Reverse Engineer. Reverse Engineer will look through your tables that are existing and build the charts for you. So let's continue, log in, and then we will connect to our database. Now we're going to select the database. The schema, it's called. We're looking for recipes and continue, and finally execute and continue. Lots of continues and close. We get the exact same model, and this was created just by looking at the SQL statements on our server. So the goal here is to add a field, or a column you'd say, to the users table. The users need to be identified as regular old users and administrators. So let's just add a column here by double-clicking on the title, and down in the list of columns I'm going to assign a new one called role, and varchar is fine, and let's close it. So do we have users table now? We have role. Okay, it looks like we're ready to update our database design, so let's go to the database menu and choose Synchronize Model. And we are synchronizing this with our current web server and database server. So continue here. And I'm not quite sure which one to pick here, so I'm going to make a guess at whatever this thing is. It says R. That might mean recipes. Let's try override the target. If this doesn't work, we can always back up. Let's continue forward. What I'm looking for is this exact screen. It tells me the recipe lists is the target, and we are modifying the users table, and so that looks like it's going to do the right thing here. So what do we got here? We're going to alter the table and add a column. Yeah, so that's exactly the operation I expected there. We're adding one column to this table. Let's execute it and close. And now if we go back into our database tab on MAMP, we should be able to see a new column that's called role. There it is. Okay, for now we're going to manually edit one of our users. So I'm going to choose edit, and in the role option I'm going to put admin and click go. And so now you can see that one user is an admin and the others are left as empty, which is fine. We'll just leave those as empty. Now when you go back into your application, everything works as normal. No changes yet, but now we're going to modify the admin page and the menu so that only the people whose role is admin can view this menu. Okay, so to make this menu invisible to anyone except for the admins, we need to have a session variable called admin role. So in the location where I'm setting the session variables, it looks like it's right here on line 18 and 19. So I've set a session for the username and the user ID. I'm going to create a new row, and let's call this thing the session value of, and let's call it role. And we're going to get that value from our database. And so we can pull out the row, and the column name is role. And so that will set the session for role. Now, if you are not an admin, this will just be a null value. There's nothing in the database. However, if it is an admin, then we can do something with our menu. Okay, let's go to the Show Top menu. So here is a link that is conditionally shown or hidden. It is the login link. And so we only show it if there's not a session variable called username, or in other words, no one logged in. However, if they are logged in, we have an else statement, and it says welcome, and then it echoes out the username. So that's how you get the username on the screen. So I'm going to move this admin page link, and let's cut that out and move it toward the bottom. So we have add recipe, and now I'm going to do admin page last. Okay, so here it is at the end of the page. Now I'm able to add an if statement in front and behind. So let's turn on the PHP code and then do a close PHP tag before and after. So there's going to be some if statements and end ifs down here. So inside PHP, in the world of PHP, we're going to say if, and then a statement, and then a colon. So the if statement doesn't use brackets. You could use brackets, but they're a little clumsy when you're doing a mix between HTML and PHP. So instead we use this colon to say, hey, that's the end of the if statement. And then at the end here, we're going to say end if. So end if acts like the closed bracket on the if statement. Okay, so that's the format for how an if and end if works with this new type of syntax. What are we going to put inside the parentheses? We're checking to see if the user is an admin or not. And so if you recall back to the login process, we have a session called role. And it takes from the database the column name role. So that's going to be either the word admin or none. So when we go to the idea here of if this is an administrator, we have to say if session of role equals admin. So if that's true, then this should be able to log in. Let's save the changes. I'm going to switch back into my app. So let's log out. And since I'm going to be using the shad account, that was the one that has the role of admin, I choose login, and sure enough, there's an admin page. And I can get to my admin. Let's try it with another user. So I'm going to log out and go back, log back in. This time I'm going to type in Nancy as another one of my users that I know is in the database. When I log in, I do not see the menu now because she does not have the attribute of admin. So if I look back in my database, you should be able to find the users table, and Nancy is listed here, and her role is not defined. So she's not an admin. So a person might say, the admin page is secure. We can't get it to it. However, if the person knows the URL, they could go up to here and type in show admin page. And even though Nancy's logged in, she can still get to this page, even though the link isn't visible. So let's go to the page and fix the one problem we see with security. So to fix this issue, we have to go to the show admin page, and let's open that up. We can check right at the beginning if the session is set for the admin. So this statement will check to see if it is admin. Actually, I want to check the opposite of that. So I'm going to do a not equal sign. And if this person is not an admin, then we're going to say echo, and I'm going to say please log in as an admin. All right, so that should add a second layer of security so that the only person that can display the contents of the page is an admin. Let's go back, and this time I still logged in as Nancy, so I'm going to type in show admin page. So what do I get this undefined variable session? What did I forget to do? So back here I'm using session variables, but at the top of the page I forgot to put in session start. So that's a common error, and it's a good thing I made it so that you can see an example. So session start, save the changes, let's refresh the page, and it says now check as an admin. Let's go back, log out, let's log in again as the admin person, and let's see, it shows up as the admin page, and I can get to the documents. So that solves the login issue for only the admins getting access to the file here. If I click delete, it seems to work here. Let's see, and it's gone. Now, a couple more things that we're going to do in the next video is we're going to add the ability to edit and clean up the view so it looks a little bit more like the CSS design we want. But right now, that's a pretty good working model for our admin page.